I believe that all of you had watched television in your younger years during afternoon time slots, typically reserved for Japanese cartoons or anime, right? I could remember before that I think Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z was the most famous anime of all times in the Philippines. But it was already dubbed in Tagalog or Filipino language already.
Mhm.
But some of the animes before in televisions were not yet dubbed in Tagalog or Filipino language. Now, I also believe that because of those animes before, you thought to yourself, how nice it would be if you could watch the show or the anime without the subtitles, right? Even before, even now, I think, right? Without subtitles. As far as I know, Japan has made a very big impact in people's lives. It could be through their culture, the way they live, their sense of responsibility and honesty, and of course, the way they entertain people through their movies, dramas, or the most famous anime. And by all that's been stated, it is indeed very essential to learn the Japanese language, which we call Nihongo in Japanese, especially to those people who love or value and admire Japanese way of life. Now, I would just like to share my screen. Right. I'm sharing it now. Okay, can you see it? Right? Okay. Is it good? Can anyone see? Okay. I'm sharing. Is it okay? I cannot see every one of you. Is it okay? Right. Okay, so the Japanese language student's guide. As your speaker for today, I am working and currently living in Japan for, I think, almost 7 years now. And I could say that it is not just important to learn the language. Rather, I think acquiring it is a necessity of for any foreigner to be able to cope with the Japanese way of life. I realize that when foreigners usually come to the Philippines, we are the ones who adjust to them in order for them to be able to understand us, which is a testament to the Filipino way of accommodation. Well, as far as I know, it isn't like that in Japan. For you, the foreigner, needs to do the adjusting all the time. In order for you to stay longer in this country, and if you want to live a flourishing life in Japan, you better study Japanese now. So I'm here to give you at least 3 key points on why learning Japanese language or Nihongo is very important. Oh yes, this is the anime, sorry. Right. Okay, point 1. Watching anime, Japanese drama, Japanese movies without subtitles. So that's the first thing that I could actually think about. Why learning Japanese is deemed important. Watching anime without subtitles. Isn't it just so exciting? You get to watch your favorite anime without looking at the subtitles anymore because you can already understand them. Or if you're not a fan of anime, how about Japanese drama or even Japanese horror movies? So if you're watching Japanese horror movies without subtitles, it makes it more terrifying, right? So these are just examples actually of why there's a need to learn Nihongo, whether it's anime or Japanese drama or horror movies. This learning the language, learning Nihongo makes you appreciate it better. And this makes it the experience more surreal. Let's go to point 2. Appreciation to Japanese culture and its people. So I tell you, Japan is not just a bed of roses. Just like roses, it's also full of thorns. So just like any other foreigners, or other foreign country, like people who are from foreign countries, they usually, such as me, we usually experience such dull moments like frustrations, homesickness. That's the most common, and even hate. Why hate? To the point of hating the culture and especially the people. So actually, I know somebody. Let's just call her Mel. She's 50 years old now, or more than. I know someone in Japan. Um, Mel is actually been working as a factory worker in Japan for I think 13 years now. So from the beginning up to this point, even though she's currently working here, she learned to hate the culture and the people, like the Japanese culture and Japanese people. And I actually asked her why, and she answered simply, because I don't understand them. Just because of that, that language barrier, it caused her very like lots of misfortunes. So how would a person or a foreigner appreciate a foreign country if he or she doesn't know the language? Now, actually, that's the key point of learning Nihongo. You have the ability and chance to talk with Japanese people. You'll be able to know their stories, their culture, their interests, and you will also be able to share yours to them. How amazing it would be if you finally understand why a certain thing, belief, or phenomenon exists in Japan, why they live like this and like that. So one of the most important thing in learning Japanese, especially if you are planning to be here in Japan, is to know their stories. Let's go now to point 3. Why is Japanese language an important thing to learn, especially if you're planning here, if you're planning to live and work here? Actually, the point 3 is about my work, which is to be an English teacher. I'm not sure if anyone knows about this, but one of the most important thing in learning Japanese language is the privilege on becoming an English teacher here. I have known someone back when I was in college. He was a graduate of Bachelor of Science in, I think, in International Studies. So his major was basically Japanese, but he was able to apply as an English teacher here in Japan. And actually, when he applied, there were like two educational institutions, two schools wanted to have him. And well, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm encouraging you to take a Japanese course now. Actually, I'm a BS Ed education myself. So if it's possible, you would like to get to shift. No, not really. But kidding aside, you can come here and work as an English teacher only if you have, of course, the acquisition of Japanese language and the qualification. So for foreigners, actually, if you're not a native English speaker, like Americans, British English, yes. So their most common qualification is for you to graduate a bachelor's course, at least 4 years, so that you'll be deemed as qualified to teach English. Now, those are just some of the examples that I think are important in why learning Japanese language is important. Now we will now proceed to how we will be able to learn the language, the Japanese language. So, aren't you curious about how some people become good with other languages aside from theirs? Well, before that, actually, according to the statistics from Greenberg Linguistic Diversity Index, 6 out of 10 Filipinos can speak languages other than Tagalog at home. So, just like me, I know Bisaya. I think some of you could understand some dialect too, aside from Tagalog. So, that makes the Philippines more linguistically diverse than as many as 190 countries all over the world, with 76% diversity index. In addition, according to the 2000 census of population, this is already like 23 years ago. So I think more than that now. Um, According to Philippine National Statistics Office, at least 63.7% of Filipinos over the age of 5 reported an ability to already speak English. Wow, we Filipinos are amazing, aren't we? But seriously, how are we able to do this? Actually, in a TED talk given by Lydia Machova, if TED talk is another like a webinar, not webinar, like a seminar thing in America. So Lydia Machova is a language mentor. She indicated that polyglots are actually people who could speak, understand different languages. So, like most Filipinos, have different approaches or methods to learn new languages. The one thing common among us is that we simply find ways on how to enjoy the language learning process. For your information, polyglots, yes, just like I said, are able to use several languages. So I would just like to tell you that there's no cookie cutter for you to learn a new language, meaning my strategy will not may not be fitted to yours. But I'm here to provide you some key points as you can use as a basis on how to learn and acquire a new language, especially with Nihongo. Point 1 is repetition. According to a research of Lily Kimpa from the University of Helsinki, rapid learning of new words is crucial for language acquisition and therefore frequent exposure to spoken words enables vocabulary development. So, but however, some people do not understand the importance of repetition towards learning the new language. When you are actively engaged in repetition and attentive to your practice, you can more readily get to a point where you are satisfied with the results you have achieved. This kind of mindful engage practice is what we need to aim towards if we are to maximize our chances of learning. Actually, repetition is if you don't know, those are what we do for kids if they want to learn the language. Oh, mama, mama. We keep on repeating one some words for them to understand us. Oh, eat, eat, food, food, something like that. So it same goes with um, acquiring a new language is to through repetition. You need to keep repeating the words for you to be able to know the pronunciation as well as the meaning and to memorize it. Now let's go to point 2, immersing yourself in the language. So, as they say, the best way of learning a new language is through connecting with a native speaker. So, for example, if it's a Nihongo, it's for Japanese people. If it's Tagalog, for Filipinos. If it's English, native speaker like Americans or English. So this is actually very true with my own experience. Even though I learned Nihongo when I was in college, I wasn't able to master it since I was only living in the Philippines that time. So in my college in Davao is basically a Japanese school. So even though my course that time was BS Ed, we were it was prerequisite. It was required for us to learn Japanese language for at least 2 years. So that was like 4 years of bachelor's course, so 2 years. But it was much more like simpler compared to BSIS, the International Studies, which they majored Japanese. So I wasn't able to master Japanese, although I did learn some because of my college. But when I went to Japan, but when I came here in Japan to work, and of course, since I didn't have any choice but to communicate with my Japanese coworkers through their native language, I was able to make use of what I've learned in the Philippines. Actual language practice is the reason why I was able to become good with the language. I can really testify that no matter how long you have been learning the language, acquiring it is a different thing. It will still be in vain if you cannot be able to use your learnings through practical use. Because, as the saying goes, practice makes permanent, perfect, perfect or permanent, right? So, but actually, that was like years ago. Now that I've been here for like 7 years, um, as I said, the best way is through a native speaker. So that's why get a Japanese boyfriend or girlfriend. But really, okay, let's go now to point three. So do not worry about making mistakes. One of the most common barriers to conversing in a new language is the fear of making mistakes. But actually, native speakers are like doting parents. Any attempt from you to communicate in their language is objective proof that you are a gifted genius. Have you ever experienced talking with a Japanese or other foreign people? They'll be shocked that you can understand them and can even talk to them in Japanese, even though your speech is not really that fluent. So actually, the first time that I came here, I actually talked with my Japanese coworkers, just a bit of a Japanese. And they were like, "Oh, Nihongo dekiru no? Sugoi ne." So in English, it means, "Wow, you can speak Japanese? That's amazing." Even though my Japanese wasn't that perfect. So for them, when you try something, native speakers do appreciate. Oh my God, sorry, it's gone. Right. Actually, native speakers do appreciate your effort when you're trying to speak their native language. And they may actually help you out. They may actually ask you some simple Japanese phrases for you to understand, and you can actually communicate with them, even though your speech, your the way you speak is not a Japanese like. So that's why never hesitate to practice with them what you've learned, because eventually the more you talk with them with their language, the more you'll be able to familiarize the way they talk, and later on you won't realize that you're already talking with them fluently. Just remember this: the most valuable thing you can make is a mistake, because you can't learn anything from being too perfect. And those mistakes that you've made are actually proof that you're trying. I know that some of you are struggling with your lessons or courses now. Same goes with if you want to learn a new language. However, I also know that you are determined to do everything just to reach your goals. So I say just keep being focused on your future by living it day by day. When you wake up every morning, try picturing yourself. Try picturing your future self. I mean, your future self already living, working, and succeeding. I think that's enough motivation for you to learn Japanese language. Again, if you are planning to learn a new language, not just Japanese, I think it's better for you to, again, first repeating, keep repeating phrases, keep repeating words. Next is to talk with a native speaker. And number three, keep at it even if you make mistakes. Again, I'm Ivy Asa. I hope that you've learned something from me this morning. Have a good day, everyone. It's very short, actually. Thank you.